The Executive Director of the UN Women has welcomed efforts led by President Cyril Ramaphosa to address gender-based violence in the country. Our correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease caught up with Dr Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, who was reacting to measures raised during the joint sitting of Parliament.
Following the joint session of the National Assembly earlier today to look specifically at questions around gender-based violence in South Africa, I am now joined by the Executive Director of UN Women, Dr Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. First of all, Edie, your reaction to the President's call for this joint session. What did you hear that impressed you? And tell us what your reaction is.
Well, I'm glad it's a state of emergency because this is an emergency. It does imply that people have to take extraordinary steps and do things even faster. The fact that we have a backlog of cases which could take years to address, it's a state of emergency. We have 6 months. Something has to happen within the 6 months, beefing up capacity and making sure that women get relief. I also am happy with the 5-point plan that is announced because it addresses prevention responses. It also addresses some of the services, and I would add the need also for the long-term support that women need when they're there. It's an excellent platform that we have in this speech. We just need people to rally behind and to act. Us as the UN standing ready also to support the plan.
There's also now a conversation of introducing new legislation in the National Assembly to address this. What are you hearing in that regard? What is it that you would like to see?
Look, our laws are not perfect, and as you know, we've been working on looking at the different jurisdictions where the laws are much stronger. South Africa can benefit from looking at those laws, but even more than the laws themselves is the implementation even of the already existing laws. Also, investment. We're glad that there's a budget that is accompanying that, and I'd like to make a call to private sector to match the resources of the government so that we do not have to wait until there's a next cycle of budgets before we can augment the resources so that everything can happen all at the same time. 6 months is not a long time, so people can afford to push other things aside and just focus on this one issue. As a nation, just have a solemn moment where we join hands together and we address this together with addressing the broader issues of violence against women and the viability and the capability of our law enforcement institutions.
You're of course referring to the 1.1 billion rand that the President announced would be reallocated to deal with this. He also talked about
and it must only be used for that. We would not like to see further down the line that the money has gone to something else. The monitoring by civil society, absolutely brilliant, because then we have people who can provide guidance, be whistleblowers, but also will be supportive in order to make sure that the success is what we all want it to be.
The President also talking about the retraining of all law enforcement officers, not just at the police station level, not just police officers, but magistrates and judges. What do you make of that?
At university, actually. Even at the university, people are actually not being trained for the realities that we know exist in our society. So the training providers need to step up and make sure that we are producing people that are fit for purpose and for the crimes that are being committed in our countries. Again, that is an area in which we as the UN can provide support. We're very interested to do that. I'm already assembling my team that I've been dying to send to South Africa that is working on police training, which is full of experts from all over the world. We're really open for business and we are really keen to make this work.
Of course, the final issue is the mindset shift in society that is required. Still a very
mindset of men.
In particular,
especially the mindset of men, because I think we still have a situation where women, children and old people are battling rapists and killers by themselves, while good men stand out and say, shame. There isn't time for that. They must jump in and be in the fight and be the first ones that are making sure that this fight does not continue. At this point, women, children, old people, disabled people, people of different sexual orientation are just fighting just by themselves. Everyone else is just watching.
Final question for you. A couple of weeks ago, we sat down and had this discussion. You said you want the President to use every tool in his toolkit to deal with this matter. Are you satisfied with his approach to date since our last discussion?
Very encouraged. The toolkit now is on the table. And the toolkit can not only be used by government, the toolkit will be effective if all of us use the toolkit but also bring in additional tools to support the toolkit of the government.
Executive Director, always good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Dr Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, of course, the Executive Director of UN Women, reacting here to the joint sitting of Parliament called by President Ramaphosa to address in specificity gender-based violence, and particularly men attacking and killing women in South Africa.